One day I was standing in my garage and I just stopped. Right? There was food that was stacked, there was toiletries stacked, there was paper goods that were stacked, and I had this quiet moment where I thought to myself, why am I buying all of this? I had money, my bills were paid, my kids were fine. So why was I shopping like we was about to lose everything? That was the day I realized I wasn't preparing. I was bracing myself. I grew up hearing and believing, right, that if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. How many of you have heard that before? As a child, right, I can remember, going back, the lights going off. We moved constantly. I watched my mom try to keep up. So in my own adult life, right, I felt like I was overcompensated. If something happens, we'll have enough. If money slows down, I'll have enough supplies. If there's a storm, we gonna survive. But the storm wasn't outside. It was in my nervous system. And here's what hit me. See, my kids weren't even eating half of it, and the stuff was going bad. They had jobs and they bought what they wanted, and sometimes they didn't even eat at home. The overstock wasn't even about them. It was about me. And see, it was about not wanting to ever feel helpless again, powerless, or getting caught off guard because I had money, but I was still operating from lack. So I didn't make some drastic change. I didn't know how I was really going to change, and I didn't throw everything away. I also didn't shame myself, but I said I was going to take small steps. So the next time I went to the store, I paused in the aisle and I asked myself, are you buying this because you need it or because you are afraid? And sometimes I still bought it, but sometimes I put it back. And I'm not going to lie. The first few times I put something back on the shelf, I felt guilty. Like I was cutting my family short. Like I wasn't being responsible. Because that old belief would whisper to me, if something happens and you're not ready, that's on you. And that's when I realized this wasn't about groceries. Really, in my life, it was about control. It was about that fear of being caught off guard again, right? And here's what I had to learn, though, that being stable doesn't mean being stockpiled, or being secure doesn't mean bracing for disaster. And taking those deep breaths before I buy something doesn't mean that I'm failing my family. It means I'm healing, I'm evolving, and I am aware. And here's the deeper truth. Everything has always worked out for me. Not perfectly, not easily, but when I really look back at some of the hardest seasons of my life, they were resolved, right? The lights came back on, the rent got paid, I found a way. God made a way. Something shifted. So this belief that something terrible was about to happen at any moment, it wasn't based on my present. It was based on that old fear. And I had to decide, am I going to keep living like the worst thing is coming? Or am I going to trust the evidence of my own life, of my now, my present? Because the evidence to me said, I survive, I adapt, I build, and I rise. And honestly, there were moments, yes, when my money dipped and my chest tightened and my breathing changed and my mind started racing. And I would immediately think, I need to make more money. I need another hustle. I need to fix this. And it wasn't because I was actually unstable, but because my body didn't trust that stability. So instead of spiraling, right, I started saying things like this out loud, like, it's working out, even when I didn't feel it. And over time, my body eventually caught up to what my mind started choosing. And that's when stability for me became real. Not because I had more, but because I stopped living like I was about to lose everything. And if you've ever felt overworked or overspent or overprepared or even been overcontrolled, I want you to ask yourself, are you being responsible, sis? Or are you still surviving something that already ended? See, you're not crazy. The thing is, we've been conditioned. You're probably patterned. And patterns can change. And so if this conversation felt personal to you at any point, If you've been building something but still feel nervous, still feel unsafe, if you've been making money but still operating from fear, then I want you to like this video so I know that this message needs to go a little bit deeper, okay? And comment, I'm done bracing, if you're ready to build from that stability. Subscribe to the channel if you're ready to dismantle, okay? Because we are dismantling survival for good, one step and one section, one point at a time. And for the sis that is still watching, I see you. And I know that she's impactful because you are. So, as I always say, remember to protect your peace. Listen to your intuition, okay? Because it's guiding you. And allow your light to shine. Until the next video, bye now.